We're back at it in Budapest today. We're going to be exploring some of the cuisine here because we found that one of the best ways when you're in a new place to kind of get acclimated to the culture is through the food. And we've had some really good Hungarian food so far, but today is going to be a full food tour and you're going to see pretty much everything Hungary has to offer.
There's going to be sausages, paprika, chimney cakes, goulash.
But the first stop is going to be breakfast, and breakfast is always just a little bit better with some Hungarian sausage added. So we got eggs, smoked cheese, peppers, and Hungarian sausage, the main event. So that was a very enjoyable omelet. It probably would have been just a normal omelet if it wasn't for the Hungarian sausage. So that has been one of my favorite things that we've tried so far. It's got a very unique red color to it, and that comes from paprika. So there's a ton of paprika added to Hungarian sausage, as well as cayenne pepper. There's garlic and salt like most sausages, but it is just such a unique flavor. And it's very spicy, and I don't mean that in like a hot spicy sense, but like a lot of spices. You can just taste all the spices all at once, and it's overpowering in a way, and along with this omelet with the smoked cheese and everything, just very, very good. So the next thing we're gonna try is langos. So langos is basically a deep fried donut with something on top. It's usually savory, but you can also get them sweet. We're gonna show the savory ones later, but right now, Hannah and Sydney want to try one with Nutella on top.
Hi, can I get one Nutella?
So I only ended up trying a small portion of the Nutella Langos because I was still pretty full from breakfast. This is sometimes a struggle for us on the food tours, is just kind of spacing everything out so we don't completely become too full and can't try anything else. So right now we are going to go learn a little bit more about this historically rich city. We're going to the Museum of Terror, which talks specifically about the impact of the Soviet Union and of the Nazi regime on the city of Budapest. So should be a pretty powerful experience, and then after that we'll continue with some more Hungarian food. This was actually a very tough experience to see just all of the suffering of the Hungarian people for so long, because like many countries in this region, they were caught between the Nazi regime and then later the Soviet regime. Both of them were detrimental to the people of the country. They were fighting each other at one point, and they kind of just went from one to the other. The Hungarian Nazi Party ending in 1945, and then picking up right where they left off was Stalin and the Soviet regime. And people were sent to labor camps in both of these regimes. There was basically a reign of terror from the 40s to the 60s because of these two evil political parties that took power. And we saw all of these images of people that were sent to these camps telling their stories. We saw images of Budapest just being absolutely destroyed during the siege of 1945. And it's very powerful. I would never describe these experiences as fun, but they are important to just get a perspective on what happened here not all that long ago when you really put it into perspective. So that was very powerful for us, and whenever I'm going through a tough day or thinking about things that I have to go through in my life, obviously pales in comparison to the suffering of the Hungarian people for so long and so many other people in this region of Europe. So that was a very powerful experience for us. We're going to go break it down a little bit more and continue our food tour. I would definitely recommend it if you're here in Budapest visiting the House of Terror. It's not going to be a good time, but it's going to be important to take in that information. So as we're walking down Andrassy Boulevard back from the House of Terror, one of the things that really stood out to me the most during that tour is that this is considered like one of the main boulevards, as you can probably hear all the noise and the bustling around us. And both the Hungarian Nazi Party, the Arrow Party, and then eventually the AVO, the Soviet Party here in Hungary, they both chose that exact same location. So where the museum is located, that's actually where the headquarters were for both of those regimes. And it's just very interesting to think about that as we're walking down, and now we see all these shops and restaurants and people walking around. This was the exact same place where all of that happened, and it just hits home once you get into that building and then walk down this street. So just to officially wrap up that part of the experience, I understand that's probably not the most cheery thing to watch on a food tour video, but we did want to see it and we're glad we did it. We're now going to head over to a food truck area, and we're gonna try some goulash because that is one of the most signature dishes here in Hungary. And it's kind of interesting, all of the other countries around Hungary also have their own sort of signature style of this. So we're gonna talk more about the history of goulash, how it got started, and why it is so popular here in Hungary. There just might be some extra Langos action as well, because I wanna try a savory one really bad.
Thinking goulash, Langos, chimney cakes.
Thank you. It's a broth.
What is it?
Paprika, man.
Paprika.
So a couple notes about goulash. As we mentioned before, every country in this region kind of has their own version, but it started here in Hungary. There's two types of goulash. There's goulash soup, and then there's just goulash as an entree. So when you order goulash as an entree, that's going to be more of like a slow-cooked meat that's usually served with spätzle, like a potato dumpling on the side. And it's just got this very rich flavor with all of the spices, the paprika, the cayenne pepper, the black pepper, all kind of just mixing together to create this very flavorful meat. But with the soup, for me, it's all about the broth, because that broth is what has all the spices in it when it's in the soup version. It also has some potatoes, some carrots, some other veggies, and the bread bowl especially is just the way to go.
Both of the goulashes are totally different experiences, so I would recommend trying both for sure. What'd you get now?
So I got a little lowdown on how this works. So there's the classic, the green, and the red. The red actually has grilled paprika on top. The coarse paprika that you think of in like the spice, this is like what it comes from. And it's sheep cheese instead of sour cream, so that's another distinguishing factor. And the one that I got was the classic, because that's really the best one. I love the sour cream and the dough combined. And I added hot peppers. So this is like the civilized way to eat it, but I've also seen people, i.e. me, just like pick it up and fold it and eat it on the street, but going a little more fancy today. I mean, who thinks of this? Deep fried dough, cheese, sour cream. Sid, what do you think of the Langos?
It's growing on me.
This dough is very similar to pizza dough, but instead of baking it in an oven, they just go ahead and deep fry it. So yeah, it's like a very typical type of dough where you've got the flour, water, salt, yeast, but then the deep frying completely changes the makeup and the texture of it. So it's like a pizza, like a deep fried pizza with sour cream and cheese, and then a lot of times it's meat as well. We've gotten it before with Hungarian sausage on it, and to me that is peak Langos.
Karavan street food is a great place to hit if you're in the Ruin Bar district.
It would be really good for like after bar food, after pub food.
Totally.
So definitely recommend.
Good Langos, good goulash. There's other types of cuisines there like Mexican, barbecue, so not just Hungarian if you want to check that out as well.
And they also had chimney cakes, which we're gonna get to at one point, but like I said, pacing it out. That's the biggest part of these food tours.
But next we're taking a long walk to one of the main tourist attractions here, the Central Market Hall. Okay, so we're in the Central Market Hall. It's a little underwhelming, to be honest. I've been here once before, but it was a Saturday, so maybe it's a different feel. We were on the lookout for soup. Didn't really see much restaurants, but we're full anyways. We don't need to eat anymore right now. But we are on the hunt for some Hungarian beer. We're gonna go pick those up and just enjoy a little downtime before dinner. We're sad. It's cold and we wanted to hang out on this bridge.
And we've also heard that people usually climb up here, like right where the camera's sitting, and just kind of hang out and have their beers. But there's a sign that says don't do that. So are we gonna be rule followers? Or are we gonna jump up on here?
Wow.
Honestly, you could just kind of belly up. It's like a bar right in the middle of the Danube River.
So we have here a Hungarian beer, Soproni.
Soproni. How does Hungarian beer on the Danube River taste?
Really sweet.
A little warm. But you can't beat the atmosphere.
This bridge is so cool. I love green.
If you come to Budapest, anything that you can do to be on the river on one of these bridges, there's no better view of the city looking down the river. So it is a little cold here on the bridge, as you can probably tell. I think this is more of a summer vibe, but we are gonna have a Dreher, which has this bridge on the can. It's a great place for the sunset, but I just wish it was a little warmer. Late. The day is almost over, but we have 2 more dishes to show you. Actual goulash, not goulash soup, and then chicken paprikash. There is only one place to get all of this, and I really hope I'm saying it correctly. I think it's called Getto Gulyas. It's definitely Goulash, Gulyas, but the first part is Getto, I don't know, but Getto Gulyas sounds pretty good to me.